some reason, and he's getting fired, or whatever the military term is for that, at Christmas. And Danny Kaye is there to be tall and like tell jokes and wind the little music box that sings "White Christmas." And Bing Crosby is like, it's too bad that the general has to leave this active war zone and go home to his family. Shucks! And all the men have feelings about it. But then the general gets up on stage and yells at them that they suck and they're terrible soldiers because men can't have feelings. Toxic masculinity. And then Germans start to bomb. And a building starts to fall really, really slowly. And Danny Kaye is like, Bing Crosby, look out! And he pulls him out of the way. And the whole building falls just on Danny Kaye's arm. And he's like, mostly okay. But then he uses it to guilt Bing Crosby into letting him join his club act. Oh, well, I work alone. Yeah. And so then there's like a montage for like 10 years, right? And they have a successful club act, and they become Broadway producers. Because, like, why not? They're white men. And so they start producing things, and Bing Crosby is a workaholic in the movie and an alcoholic in real life, but that doesn't factor into the story. It's like, I want you to stop working so hard. I think you need a wife so that I can have 45 minutes to myself each day, but Bing Crosby doesn't want a wife, and so Danny Kaye tries to set him up with chorus girls, and he won't even give them so much as a kiss my foot or have an apple. And then on the they go on to see another club act, which is by two sisters. One is Vera Ellen, who's anorexic, and one is Lena Moy-Borgen, who's perfect, but also terrible at communicating. And they're like, why are we doing this? We're doing it for an old pal in the army, which is not a good reason, but it's a reason. And that happens like 10 more times. And then they sing, sisters, sisters, there were never such devoted sisters, with giant blue fans, see? And then Danny Kaye and Vera Ellen, they sing, the best things happen when you're dancing, and they jump like this. And they're really beautiful paintings of Florida, very indicative of movie making at the time. And we pause the movie and we say to my husband, oh my God, this was like so real and just like Florida. Bing Crosby get into a fight about something stupid, and then the sheriff comes! Drama! He wants to arrest the girls for something stupid, and so Danny Kaye thinks the only thing they can do is to give the girls their train tickets and do their club act and dress up like women. Is there a good reason for this? They're doing it for an old pal in the army. Sure. And then they get on the train and they sing, snow, 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 snow. And Rosemary Clooney is actually singing both parts because they don't let Vera Ellen sing. She's just there to dance and be anorexic. And then they get all of it and move on. And there's no snow. What is Christmas with no snow? It's an early harbinger of climate change. I bet you didn't know this movie was so political. So then they get there and the general from the beginning of the movie is there, and he's worse than a general now. He's a landlord! And so apparently it's terrible that the general has like a home and a nice place to live. He wants to be back in the army where people are shooting at him. And so they decide to take the whole show and bring it to his inn so that he can have more business, because nothing is more important than the pride of an old white man. And it's like nobody in their show wanted to spend Christmas with their own families, but like whatever. And so then they rehearse, and Danny Kaye does this amazing Martha Graham spoof where they're doing choreography. And then they do this super racist minstrel number where the best thing I can say about it is, at least it's not in blackface. And then Rosemary Clooney and Bing Crosby start to fall in love, but they're going too slowly. It's been like a week and they're not engaged yet. And she and Danny Kaye should pretend that they're engaged, and that'll like move the mama chick along. And Danny Kaye doesn't want to do this because he's gay. Subtext. And then Vera Ellen is like, we wouldn't have to kiss or anything, and Danny Kaye's like, I'd rather kiss my cocker spaniel. Because he's gay. And then they're like, well, maybe we won't have to do it. But then Bing Crosby and Rosemary Clooney get in a fight, and she runs away, so then they have to do it. And Rosemary Clooney goes to the club in New York where she has like apparently a solo act she's been prepping for years, and has like a set list and charts and backup dancers and Bernardo, and she's like, oh, you didn't do right by me. And then Bing Crosby comes up to her and she's like, hey, what did I do? Did we like have a miscommunication? Will you just talk to me directly? She's like, no, I can't do that because then the plot of the movie doesn't work. And she runs away, and then Bing Crosby goes on TV and he's like, what do you do with a general when they stop being a general? And then I feel like the obvious answer is you give him a pension and he lives out his life with his family. So Rosemary Clooney realizes she had a misunderstanding, so she kicks the club to the curb. She's like, I'm burning my bridges here, I don't care if I leave you alone at Christmas. And she runs back to Vermont, and she shoves her understudy out of the way, and she gets on stage, and she says,